For this trailer analysis, I watched the cinematic trailer several times frame by frame and, in addition to my own observations, I also looked for all the information from the various interviews for you. The sources for them can be found in the video description and at the bottom left of the video. Right at the beginning of the trailer it is pointed out that this trailer was rendered in Unreal Engine 5 on an as yet unreleased RTX graphics card. According to the developer, this is also an unreleased build of Unreal Engine 5. Epic Games and CD Projekt Red have been working closely together for 2 years to ensure a good transition from the Red Engine, which was previously used for the Witcher games, to Unreal Engine 5, which will now be used for all CD Projekt Red games, including the remake of The Witcher 1 and the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red has also worked closely with NVIDIA before and introduced the latest technologies such as patch tracing in Cyberpunk 2077 at an early time. The flowers floating on the water at the beginning were also used in Slavic mythology in the Middle Ages for rituals against evil. Next, we see a woman being prepared for one of these rituals.
I've watched ye grow.
At the same time, another person is preparing for something alone. She seems to have magic at her disposal, with which she can light a fire.
With much grace.
Meanwhile, the first woman continues to be purified.
Kindness.
In the next cut you can see a sword being pulled out of a scabbard, and anyone who is familiar with the Witcher games will already know that this is the Witcher, as you can see from the symbols. The same symbols can be found on Ciri's and Geralt's swords.
A sword like this wants my sister to face the art.
The stitching with its red patterns on the white fabric is also very similar to Slavic mythology.
Even art of gold.
While the blade is being sharpened, the first woman is in the final phase of being wrapped in her robe.
Darling.
However, they did not reveal if we would play this mission in the game ourselves, if it has already happened, or what role it plays in general. The developers did reveal that most of the assets used in the trailer will also be used in the game. Now Mione, the name of the woman, steps out of the hut and shows herself for the first time to the inhabitants of the village of Stromfort, which is located far to the north. I couldn't find this village on the known maps, but the developers have already said that we will be traveling to new regions in The Witcher 4, but they didn't want to reveal anymore. In this scene you can also see one of the many mission boards that we already know from The Witcher 3. Here we see Ciri watching the event from the back row, clearly recognizable by her two swords. Mione approaches her father, who is not very pleased to see his daughter in this ceremonial dress. The atmosphere seems to be very depressed and some villagers seem to want to say goodbye to her. Her father says goodbye to his daughter with a final kiss and a few words, his face clearly showing the tension of what lies ahead, and even the tears can no longer be hidden. Except that we will also find this village and the NPCs in the game. Ciri seems to want to accompany Mione, and now a villager notices that a Witcher is among them. Mione's father looks taken aback for a moment. Has he paid Ciri to protect her daughter? The Witcher is known to be a contract killer and will pay for his services. The villager doesn't let up and goes behind the Witcher and grabs him by the shoulder, now revealing Ciri's face, which can be recognized directly by the scar on her left side. What you can also see is that she has aged a few years compared to The Witcher 3. What is also noticeable are her eyes, which have cat-shaped pupils and are no longer green but brownish. A clear sign that she has completed the herbal test. This is a deadly ritual for many sorcerers, which they actually do as children, but which most of them do not survive. It makes them resistant to a variety of poisons that are deadly to humans. In the games and books of the Witcher saga, Ciri never completed this ritual. Meanwhile, Mione has gone further into the forest to fulfill her role in the ritual. Charms hang from the trees, making it clear that this is a ritual that has been going on for a long time, and whenever the fog returns to the forest, it is time to do the ritual again for the benefit of the village. The developers have also confirmed that the fourth part takes a few years after The Witcher 3. Mione kneels in front of the cave, ready to make her offerings, until Ciri grabs her by the shoulder to stop her from taking the next step. Mione is visibly confused, unwilling to deviate from her task.
Village, save yourself!
But Ciri's medallion tells her that her task is complete and the monster has awoken. So she sends Mione back to the village, to her safety.
Run!
Mione turns around again because she is not sure if it is the right choice, but her fear wins out and she flees. Ciri pulls out her sword and enters the misty cave, seeing the skeletons of previous victims from past rituals. Voices spread, a claw catches her out of the dense fog. She lashes out, but cannot locate the monster.
The ritual.
She drinks a powerful Witcher potion called Cat, which makes her see in the dark and is deadly to humans, but her mutation protects her from it. Now she recognizes the monster in the dense fog and charges towards it with determination to take up the fight against it. It is a bok, a creature from Slavic mythology, which recognizes the fears of its victims and uses his traumas against them. Here Ciri also uses the protective spell, Igni, one of the few small spells that witches can cast. But the bok is stronger, can break through it and nails Ciri to the wall with its claws. What follows now goes beyond the powers of The Witcher, because as we know from The Witcher 3, the Netflix series or the books, she has the blood of the oldest in her. That's why she can channel the elements, such as water in this case, and cast powerful spells. A few moments later, the bok is flung to the ground by a thunderstorm of lightning. This allows Ciri to pick up her sword again to take up the fight against the bok once more. After losing 2 limbs, Ciri shows another weapon, chains, which the developers say is a reference to the very first trailer from The Witcher 1, where Geralt also uses chains in the battle. According to an interview, these chains will not only appear in the trailer, but will also be available to Ciri in the game. Ciri will also cast a spell on these chains, which will make them glow. This allowed Ciri to keep the monster on the ground and ultimately cut off its head. This is a typical way for the Witchers to show their clients that they have done their job and collect their money. As Ciri approaches the village with the bok's head, she realizes that something is wrong. In disbelief, she looks in the direction of the father, who is holding his daughter in his arms, and then turns her angry eyes on the villagers, as if she wants to ask what they have done.
It's tradition!
We see what has happened a few moments later.
Oh no!
Mione has been executed with a knife and her father, who apparently wanted to prevent it, is now holding his dead daughter in his arms. Ciri, who was probably hired by the father to defeat the bok in order to save his daughter's life, has failed. She has defeated the monster, but not the villagers' superstition, who are convinced that it is the will of the gods.
Gods?
Furious, Ciri replies that there are no gods here, only monsters.
Gods here. There are only monsters.
If you saw the trailer premiere from the Game Awards 2024, you also heard Geralt's voice at the end, which is no longer present in the trailer version that was released afterwards.
Time for a new saga. See you on the path.
That was my trailer analysis. If I could offer you new information or if you liked it, please leave me a like. There will also be more Witcher 4 videos to follow, which will contain all the Witcher 4 information known so far or go into the controversial discussions that have arisen around the trailer. Why does Ciri have the herbal test, since there has never been a woman who has survived it before? If you don't want to miss it, leave me a subscription and activate the bell. I thought the trailer was again incredibly well realized by CD Projekt Red, all the little details and micro-gestures that reveal more than you can see at first glance. But anyone who knows the announcement trailers of previous games knows that you shouldn't take them too seriously. But I'll tell you more about that here on this channel soon.